Welcome to this edition of Midweek Geek here on Geek Therapy Radio. I am your mental curator, Johnny Hemberger. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Both are called Geek Therapy Radio. So make sure you're subscribed to both those things so you don't miss any of these special Midweek Geeks. These are additional podcasts in addition to the weekly broadcast that airs on KPRC 950. Okay, plugs aside, actually one more plug for the social media. It's just Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. Basically, just Google search Geek Therapy Radio. Make sure it's with Johnny Hemberger, and you'll find me. So this week on Midweek Geek, I want to talk about the upcoming new Nintendo Switch. It's not a Nintendo Switch 2. It's not a more powerful version of the Nintendo Switch. It's actually a cheaper, cost-reduced model of the Nintendo Switch. So I kind of want to talk about what I hope to see from it, what perhaps we should expect to see from it, but I also want to get your opinion on the matter. So if you are watching this on YouTube, absolutely, let's talk about it in the comments below. If you're just listening to the podcast, get at me on the Facebook, Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook, and tell me what you think about the upcoming reduced cost version of the Nintendo Switch. Are you excited for it? Do you think it's pointless because the Switch is already a portable device? You know, what do you think about all this? But let's get into it. According to Bloomberg, reports from Bloomberg, we could see the new Nintendo Switch, I should call it the reduced cost version of the Nintendo Switch, as early as June 6th. Other reports from Nikkei say that it's coming out by the fall. So basically, we kind of all agree that we can expect, or we should expect, to see Nintendo make an official announcement or officially release the reduced cost version of the Nintendo Switch by summer to fall. That's a reasonable expectation, and that's why when they that's why I can't even talk today. That's why they would release it before Christmas time, so that when kiddos and anybody else asks for a new Nintendo Switch, it just confuses the parents more, just confuses holiday shoppers more. Which version of the Nintendo Switch do I get? But let's talk about that. Let's talk about the reduced cost version of the Switch specifically. And I'll just get kind of to the point here, what I am expecting to see from it and kind of what I hope, selfishly, what I hope to see from it. It's not going to be a deal breaker either way, but one of the things I hope to see from it, as we can assume that it's going to have it's going to be a more portable version of the Switch, so, which sounds funny to say, but it's going to have built-in controllers. The Joy-Cons are not going to be removable. I think we can all realistically agree that that's one way to cost cut. That's going to remove it's going to remove the batteries from the Joy-Cons. The addition, basically, the Switch has 3 batteries, the battery that powers the screen and internals and everything, and then the 2 batteries that are in the Joy-Cons that help keep it, connected via Bluetooth and all that. So if they have the controllers as one part of the screen, as if it's all just one unit, non-detachable, that saves costs and batteries, that saves manufacturing costs, all that good stuff. So I think we can reasonably assume that in the reduced cost version of the Switch that we should possibly see this summer, definitely before Christmas, possibly as late as the fall, that the controllers will be attached. So if we reasonably assume that, I would go one step further, and this is what I personally, just my opinion, and I want to get your opinion on this too. This is what I hopefully want to see from the Switch, from the new reduced version Switch, and that is the clamshell design. I would be pretty happy, pretty stoked to see a clamshell version of the Switch. That gets into a quagmire of possible arguments as to that defeats the purpose of the Switch. The Switch is designed to switch from being connected to your TV to a portable operation. And I'll get to that in a second. If they're going to make a reduced cost, cheaper version of the Switch, more portable, dedicated version of the Switch, it it would not faze me to see the clamshell design. They've discontinued the 3DS. I believe they discontinued the 3DS in 2017. I'm just thinking about that off the top of my head, but the 3DS is discontinued, so they're not manufacturing anymore. There's no new clamshell devices, I'll just say. So it'll make sense to me that the reduced cost version of the Switch be a clamshell design. That would also make sense for durability. I know that, I do have a PSP and I do have a PS Vita, and I have had luck with the durability of the thumbsticks. On those devices, they have all the buttons and everything affixed to the front of the device, and they're kind of low-profile thumbsticks. And I personally have had luck with that, but I don't use the PS Vita that often. I used to use the PSP all the time, and I will say, actually, I did have problems with the thumbstick on the PSP after a while. So it would be cool to see that the reduced cost version of the Switch, the handheld version of the Switch, the dedicated handheld version of the Switch be a clamshell design. It would protect the screen. It would protect the buttons on the face of it. So what do you think? Would you welcome the reduced cost version of the Switch being a clamshell design? I would, but again, like I said, it's not make or break. If the new Switch, reduced cost version of the Switch is not a clamshell and it does just have the joysticks and the buttons on the face of it like the PS Vita and the PSP, that's fine with me too. The 2DS, actually, the cheapest version of the 3DS family, the 2DS, which gets rid of the 3D gimmick, that's not clamshell. That's kind of built like the old Game Boys. By the way, happy 30th anniversary to Game Boy, released in 1989. But the Game Boy and the 2DS, they're not clamshells. They have the buttons facing the front. So it can be durable, not to be a clamshell, but a big part of me just wants the clamshell design. But what do you think about that? The next issue to raise with the Switch is that the name itself is Nintendo Switch. The idea being that it docks into your TV home theater setup so that you can sit on the couch and use the Pro Controller or detach the Joy-Cons and sit on your couch and play Breath of the Wild or Mario or what have you. That's a big part of what makes the Switch the Switch. That's why they called it the Switch. It is a home gaming device, home console that you can take out of the dock and take on the road with you. That's really cool. If you've played the Switch for a while, you know that while the design is very good overall, the durability is good overall, although I have to replace one of my thumbsticks now. For the most part, the durability is pretty good, but when you're holding it, it seems kind of flexible, the Joy-Cons on the side there. So that's one more, check box that I would like to see a reduced cost version of it, just have the Joy-Cons built in. Still able to pair, since it's not going to get rid of Bluetooth. Bluetooth on the Switch is at the chip level. It's a system on chip level, so it's not getting rid of Bluetooth. You should still be able to pair other Bluetooth controllers and other Joy-Cons to the reduced cost version of the Switch. But getting back to the nature of the Switch, the reduced cost version, there's some fear that since it wouldn't come with the dock, there's some versions of the Switch that bundles that already don't come with the dock. All of the docking with the TV stuff is why it was called the Switch. And will the reduced cost version get rid of the ability to play on TV? Some think that it might eliminate the ability to play on a big screen TV. I submit that it won't, because that would create, it would need a somewhat significant hardware redesign to get rid of the Type-C port in the display over the Type-C port. I think that whatever they do with the reduced cost version of the Switch, I think that it will still be able in some way or fashion be able to hook up to a TV through that USB Type-C connection. You might need a proprietary Nintendo controller, or they might do some sort of software update to make at least the portable version, the reduced cost version, able to easily attach, tether to a television over the existing USB-C. I believe that's also at the system level. So like I said, it would require some redesigns to eliminate the display over USB-C feature. So I don't think the ability for the reduced cost version of the Switch to tether to a TV, I don't think that's going anywhere. But what do you think about that? 3, to wrap this up, I love my Nintendo Switch, but I haven't used it in the portable way it's been designed for as much. 90% of the time I'm using the Switch, it is just tethered to the TV. Because I think in my head, when I think about taking the Switch, it's a little bit of hesitation because of the minor flimsiness in the Joy-Cons while they're attached. It's not as portable for me personally as I would have liked it to be, and I think the reduced cost version of the Switch will address that. I also think since reduced cost is in the name, that if it's going to be $150 or so, or sub $200, I might pick up an extra one to another Switch to throw in my backpack and just keep there. I would use the Nintendo Switch more, which means I would use their software more, which means I would be on their eShop more if the Nintendo Switch becomes even more portable. And I think that's what they're going for. I think that's the caveat. I think that's the main point of all of this, is that they're trying to, maybe they know that their users, a lot of, especially adults, maybe aren't using it in the portable fashion that as much as they intended it to be. I'm just using myself and some other anecdotal evidence in that theory there that most of us, 90% of the time, it's hooked up to the TV and we're not using it so much in the portable fashion. Or at least there's enough of the demographic. Maybe you're part of the demographic that you use your Switch portably all the time. Perhaps that's true. And I am in the minority of people who has it attached to the TV most of the time. I think that minority, that percentage, even if it's 10, 20% of people that keep it hooked up to the TV most of the time, I think if they can chew into that demographic and keep them playing the Switch portably, that they would spend more time in the eShop, spend more time playing Nintendo software, and it would be a good thing. I also have theories on maybe the reduced cost version of the Switch being able to somehow stream to the TV. I mean, that's kind of getting off base here. It doesn't seem like they're going to do that. I wouldn't hold my breath for streaming over the air, over the network to the TV. For one thing, that introduces latency and all sorts of stuff. So I honestly don't know why I mentioned that. I don't think that's going to happen. But what do you think about the reduced cost version of the Nintendo Switch coming out as early as this June? What are you hoping to see in it? What are you hoping for as far as functionality and actual physical design? What do you think we're going to see? What do you hope for? Let me know in the comments below. If you're watching this on YouTube, let me know on Geek Therapy Radio Facebook. If you're just listening to the podcast, other than that, embrace your geek thing, be good to each other, and I'll see you or talk to you in the next one. Take care, everybody.